I'd like to start by saying that the larger the ship, the farther in advance you have to plan for turns. Let's imagine a school with processes in place to deal with behavioural issues in a consistent and equitable manner, where self-management skills and academic achievement is promoted across the school through formalised whole school routines, activities and methods of encouragement. By implementing a framework which works towards improving the social, emotional and academic outcomes for all students, this can be our school. With our latest enrolment, we now cater for 1,041 students, facilitating 7 to 12 mainstream classes, 2 moderate to severe intellectual disability classes, and 1 emotional disturbance class. There may even be a second emotional disturbance class opening up next year, as per the executive meeting minutes. So how could such a framework support our school community? Firstly, it has been inspiring to see both our amazing head teachers and deputy principals lead and manage the school through times of change, stepping out of their comfort zone into new roles to support us all. But let's be honest, the repetitive change between principals last year was taxing on everyone. The school's disposition was one of unorganisation and uncertainty. Luckily, we now have an amazing new principal, Mrs. Reeves, who is passionate and dedicated to the school. She is now open to new ideas for a positive change, which is both staff collaborative and student inclusive. Today I would like to introduce you to PBIS, which is a positive behavioural interventions and support framework and has been implemented in 25,911 schools thus far. Before you is the PBIS.org website. It has a simple to navigate and easy to use interface, making it accessible to everyone. I'd like to refer to the first button titled School. Then select High School PBIS. Here we find information regarding the implementation of PBIS within the secondary setting, specifically considerations we should make as a staff, which include the size, culture and developmental level of the school. In this regard, there is a reference to an article on the website which discusses the implementation of PBIS in a similar school setting to ours. When considering the size, culture and developmental level, the school was also in an urban setting. It comprised of over 1,000 culturally diverse students similar to ours, had a large number of students from low socioeconomic families, faced a high dropout rate and also qualified for and received special education services within the school, which is something our school can definitely relate to. The school did have some success with the framework, and since this time, data, methods and processes within PBIS have been further developed for success. The website explains that for high schools to successfully implement the core PBIS features in order to achieve desired student outcomes, schools must focus on key foundational systems which include data, leadership and communication. So could we implement it right here? Of course we could. We could all participate in collecting data for decision making in order to implement PBIS systems more thoroughly throughout the school. Training is accessible on the PBIS website and can be delivered during fortnightly meetings in weeks opposing staff meetings. Additionally, we could invest in a PBIS professional to deliver training during our allocated PL day once a term. To support staff during a change in their roles, PBIS would formalise processes so that they would continue to operate regardless of the changes in the school, providing consistency for all students while promoting the school's expectation when there is a rotation of staff. Lastly, we need to establish a strong mutual relationship with the families of our students, a relationship built on trust, support and understanding. As a Year 11 advisor, my data records show that many students are living in rental properties for short durations of time, and just to mention the uncertainty and anxiety associated to such changes would serve as behavioural triggers for our students. Fortunately, PBIS considers and integrates the community within its framework. As you can see on the website, there is a dedicated button which directs you to the community and political support page. Here we find many ideas and supportive systems, which is inclusive of local business investment and support for school students. This brings us to the end of the presentation. In front of you is a feedback sheet. I would greatly appreciate any thoughts and feedback you had on the presentation today.
Con, this framework looks amazing and I am very surprised at the amount of information and support the website offers. I spend a lot of time teaching our emotional disturbance class, and with talk of a second one opening next year, I would like to know if PBIS helps with positively addressing and preventing problematic behaviour.
Well, Stephanie, research on the PBIS website states that teachers who interact more positively with students have students who do better academically and socially. Teachers who deliver a high amount of praise typically experience lower off-task or disruptive behaviours from their students. If we refer to the PBIS website to address your question, we highlight the school button, you will see a Tier 1, Tier 2 and Tier 3 supports link. Tier 1, which is green, looks at and broadly addresses all members of the school community. At Tier 1, all stakeholders are considered, making it a universal model and highly inclusive. Tier 2, which is yellow, is more targeted towards addressing repeat offenders. This tier addresses a small number of students who require more focused and intensive intervention. Tier 3, which is red, is most relevant to your question as it represents the most intensive behavioural issues. Typically, this tier represents the 5% of students who have serious behavioural problems. Tier 3 addresses individualised supports which work towards reducing frequency, duration, and intense undesired behaviours in a positive manner. If you would like to remain back after the meeting, I'd be happy to go through the website with you.